pressures which teenagers might face. Now, this could be an academic pressure which they put on themselves, and pressure by parents, teachers, schools, in which they are forced to perform better. Many times they are struggling with studies in particular subjects like science, maths, or English, but they're afraid that they might be, if they open up to somebody, they might be judged. So, a fear of criticism, a fear of being judged, and not performing well are leading causes. Apart from that, interpersonal relationship issues, which could be in the home environment of the child, between the parents, or with siblings, or even with friends, or even in such cases, there could be peer issues. There could be bullying, and cyberbullying through social media is also on the rise. Now, these are a few factors which might lead to an individual thinking that, they have no other option but to commit self-harm or suicide. They might just feel that might not be a solution to their problems, and this is the only option left. These teenagers are facing a lot of anxiety, depression, or adjustment issues to their problems. Now, chronic stress is another factor which can lead to self-harm. And many of these students who come to us are actually often chronically depressed. And in depression, a very common sign or symptom is of committing self-harm or suicide. So this definitely can be indicated that this child might be suffering from depression, which could have been a persistent depressive episode. Similarly, a lot of students face burnout, they face adjustment issues to a new hostel or to a new course or to the college. Similarly, it could be cases like bullying or ragging, which also influence their mental health. And at times, these children might be persistently perturbed, and mental health issues run in families. Similarly, coming in the wrong company, substance use are also factors which influences this. And anybody who is isolated, does not have a lot of friends, prefers to keep online, might be suffering from a depressive episode. Now, social media and the constant comparison of everybody who's online, be it the creators, the influencers, or just your peers, this is often a fear in the back of their heads that, I'm not performing good as them, I'm not performing better, I must look a certain way, I must behave a certain way, I must have these kind of amenities. This leads to a constant fear of comparison, and then also that my peer group might just ostracize me. They might just isolate me because I do not have this particular thing. And every teenager, every adolescent wants to feel like other people. They don't want to be singled out. So this is one factor which is definitely impacting their mental health, which is leading to a lot of stress, anxiety, and depression, and could be the precursor for self-harm in many cases. Similarly, children are also exposed to a lot of other content where they see violence and aggression and other people also committing self-harm, which might give them ideas on how they can solve their problems. And although without guidance, this can be difficult. Now, to understand them better, we must understand that social media and its rise is definitely influencing their mental health and should be catered only in a limited amount. Now, many a times, these teenagers might have other signs and symptoms which accompany these thoughts of self-harm. There could be they are consistently depressed or feel low. They might have anxiety. They might have sleep issues. They're not able to fall asleep or wake in the middle of the night. They might have appetite problems, that they're not feeling hungry, they're always full, or they might just be binging as well. Similarly, fatigue, loss of energy, reduced concentration, not wanting to interact with anybody, trying to be alone, isolating themselves, not going to school. These are certain red flag behaviors or signs and symptoms that someone might be having a depressive episode. Similarly, a lot of teenagers might just become more irritable than usual, more angry than usual, picking out fights with parents or siblings and friends, trying to be aloof from everybody, not wanting to go to school or certain activities that they enjoy. And these are signs and symptoms parents and teachers should be mindful about. Now, when we talk about red flag behaviors, we have to keep in mind that a stark difference in somebody's personality. Maybe somebody is very cheerful, talkative, and social, and over a period of days, they have seemed withdrawn, not responding or interacting with anybody else, not participating in activities that they like. That could be a precursor. Similarly, anybody expressing willfully that they want to commit self-harm or suicide, or who has been found to commit suicide, Many teenagers actually engage in harming themselves by using blades or knives or even ingestion of toxic substances. So, somebody found like that should be taken to a mental health professional or a doctor immediately. So, these are certain factors which we should think about. Also, if somebody is writing letters or proclaiming on social media they don't want to live, they want to die, these are things we should be mindful about. For peer groups of friends, any stark behavior in their personality, withdrawing themselves, not interacting, not coming to school, not coming for activities, and similarly proclaiming things like my life doesn't feel worth living, they feel hopeless, helpless, or even trying to find out ways to commit self-harm, talking to you about self-harm, and a general pessimistic attitude might be things that your friend might be suffering from a depressive episode or an anxiety episode, and they need help. With respect to schools and teachers, what can help is providing a safe space to the child, providing a judgment-free space, safe space where the child feels heard and listened to. Their problems can be understood and solutions can be found out by working together. Instead of being in a hurry to judge the child, but understanding what they're coming from. Similarly, therapy or counseling services can be provided on state, and anybody who exhibits any red flag behaviors or signs and symptoms of depression should be taken to a psychiatrist. Similarly, holding regular classes for stress management for students, which can help them further. And most importantly, raising awareness regarding mental health issues in children and adolescents so that certain classes can be taken to make them understand that how one feels when they're off, when they're anxious, or one feels when they are depressed. These warning signs and symptoms to parents and teachers can also be helpful. Myths which can be debunked are that talking about suicide raises thoughts of self-harm, whereas talking about self-harm, suicide, or any mental health problems puts the person at ease and helps them de-stress. Similarly, giving a safe space or space fear of judgment also helps the individual out. Additionally, that medicines or therapy are ineffective. Medicines can be quite effective in contracting a depressive or an anxiety episode, and similarly, anybody who's having active suicidal thoughts needs hospitalization and treatment. These are important common things in teenagers, and these should be tackled effectively. The faster we tackle this, better results we can get. If anybody around you is suffering from thoughts of self-harm or is committing self-harm or suicidality, take them to a mental health professional at the earliest. Save a life.